Give shout out to Kanye West. Kanye West did an interview on Fox News. He finally explained the whole situation behind the White Lives Matter shirt. And I believe that Kanye needs to be heard on this because he actually did a good job with a good interview. So we're going to do what the media isn't doing, which is to talk about things in an honest way. And so get comfortable, buckle up seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboystv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I wanted to come in and talk to you guys today because I saw a little bit of an interview with a guy named Mr. Kanye West. And Kanye is controversial to say the least. He has been kind of all over the place recently. Most of us know this. Some people love him, some people hate him. I'm kind of in the middle. You know, I sometimes I love what he does, sometimes I don't. But anyway, Kanye did an interview today with Tucker Carlson, no less, on Fox News. And you can think about that what you want. Some of y'all like Fox News, some of you don't. It's okay. But I'm going to talk about this. I decided to dissect this a little bit and give you a quick Dr. Boyce breakdown on all of this. So as I get started, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe, because one area where Kanye and I certainly agree is that we know mainstream media does not want to hear from Black men like me. Mainstream media does not want to hear from Black men who do not fit into an agenda. Mainstream media does not want to hear from Black men who represent the community. Mainstream media wants to hear from women and gay people pretty much for the most part, or men who agree with whatever women and gay people believe. If you agree with this, give me a yes in the chat if you have seen some of this where the bias is absolutely unbelievable and it's kind of sick. And I personally am offended by it. And I personally think it's something we have to fight against. So hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe, share this video because we need your support in building this platform. All right, so let's get started. How many of y'all saw, give me a yes or no in the chat. How many of you saw Kanye's interview today on Fox News? Any piece of it? Did anybody see the interview he did with Tucker Carlson? Joseph from Dallas, I see you. Feel free to shout out your cities. If I see your city, I'll shout it back at you. Yeah, so if you didn't see it, you got to watch it. It was really interesting. Kanye, he did. Let me just start here. Let me just start with this. Look, there's a lot of different opinions out there about Kanye, and I probably agree with every single one of them. If you think he's a little bit off, yeah, I do. If you think he's a genius, yeah, I can see that. If you think he's extreme, yeah, I see that too. If you think he's brilliant, yeah, I see that. And so what I really liked about this interview, here's the first thing I'm going to say. I'm going to start the conversation here. I just like the fact that Fox News even allowed Kanye to talk. Can we at least start there? Can we at least start the conversation with an agreement that Black men deserve to talk? That we deserve to have our voice heard, because what they do, these people are so insulting. And these are your liberal buddies. These are your so-called allies. They do not want to hear from Black men who do not go along with the narrative. Whenever Black men start doing something that they don't like, when we stop going along with the agendas, people start getting mad. They start trying to shut us down and shut us out. They elevate and prop up these old masculine, mean Black women, to the top of the political pile, just so they can attack Black men. Some of them work in the Biden administration, like that one lady, the big old football player that tackled the guy at the Joe Biden rally. You know what I'm talking about, Simone Sanders. If Black men would learn how to shut up, then Black men need to be quiet. Y'all need to be, hey, shut up. And I'm just sitting here thinking like, wow, these people are ridiculous. These people are weird. These people are clowns. These people are not beneficial to the community. And it's all part of a plan. It's part of a plan, to make sure that every single thing that holds the Black family together is destroyed. They want the whole Black community run by a bunch of single mothers and gay people. They do not want masculine heterosexual males anywhere in the conversation. And so we have to force our way into the conversation. just in case you're wondering, that is what should make you a masculine heterosexual male. A man walks in his power and his strength and his truth, and you can't worry about what people think too much. You got to just keep on moving. Okay, so that's a little bit of advice for anybody who's listening, any young men who are learning what manhood looks like. Manhood does not mean you have to be toxic. Manhood does not mean you have to be mean to everybody. Manhood does not mean you always have to be the solo alpha. Manhood there's an element of cooperativeness. There's an element of consideration that must be applied, but then there's an element of strength that must come in where you can't be walking around worried about what people think. So one area, again, let me just start with what I love about what Kanye is doing is he's just being him. He's doing his thing. You know, he's being honest. What I don't like is I don't agree with, first of all, I don't understand how any man could think that marrying a Kardashian is ever going to end well. Let me just start there. Let me just be honest with that. You know, don't get mad, brother, because your daughters are going to be little Kardashians. That's what you signed up for, you know, and that's the truth. That's why I married a black woman. I did not marry a Kardashian. And so, but with that said, though, and then also there's like this weird thing with hip hop where there's a lot of blustery talk and a lot of attention seeking, because attention is the currency that artists need in order for their careers to survive. So some of the behavior, some of the antics can come off as a little bit buffoonish, a little bit out of, you know, just out of whack, you know, walking down the runway covered with mud because you're trying to impress a bunch of white people at a fashion show. That's where I get off that bus. That's where you have, you know, you're in the Hollywood space. That's not my space. But let me now talk about the things about Kanye's interview that I really like. Kanye did an interview today with Tucker Carlson, and shout out to them for at least letting him talk. Now, mind you, remember this. Everybody has an agenda. Everybody, your friends and your enemies. So if you are happy that the people at Fox News allow Kanye to talk, just be clear. The only reason they're allowing him to talk is because he agrees with them. The only reason they're respecting his opinion is because he's supporting an agenda that they themselves are pursuing. So ultimately, Kanye speaking on Fox is not a reflection of Fox News being some wonderful place. I'm not a fan of Fox News. I used to go on Fox News maybe 15 years ago, and then I got into this crazy thing with Bill O'Reilly, and they pretty much did to me what the liberals did. What the liberals do to black men who don't agree with the agenda is they will start talking about you like you're a fucking animal. Excuse my French. I'm going to stop cussing. I'm not going to cuss anymore. They talk about you like you're an animal. They talk about you like you don't have an opinion. They want to give you your opinion. For example, when I spoke up and I said the reason that Lizzo is so popular, not against Lizzo, but the reason Lizzo is so popular is because there is an obesity epidemic in America. And rather than trying to help that poor girl and convince her to lose weight, everybody wants to cheer her on and say, please keep getting fatter and fatter. And when you go to Lakers games, make sure you show up with a thong on your ass with your booty out and make sure you twerk every time you play the flute. That's what, you know, so ultimately Lizzo, and I still stick by this, I've always stuck by this, she fulfills two major stereotypes for black women that really make it hard for all black women. There's the mammy and the Jezebel stereotype. The mammy is the Aunt Jemima, the big fat Aunt Jemima that the white women love, and the Jezebel is basically the hoe, the Cardi B's and all that stuff. So Lizzo is a perfect combination, a perfect storm of the mammy Jezebel or the big fat hoe who goes out and twerks at Lakers games and puts her coochie juice on the seats where the children are going to be sitting. That ain't right. I'm sorry if you get mad at me. You might think I'm a jerk. You want to, you know, the liberals say, oh, you're sexist. You're this. No, ain't nothing sexist about this. If the sexist thing to do would be to say, oh, hey, black women, go out here and jiggle your ass while you play the flute. Your flute playing would sound a lot better if you was twerking with it, girl. You need to twerk some. Why you trying to show me your talent? Your talent is between your legs, girl. That's all you. No, that's not what you do. That's not how you show respect to black women. And I think even Lizzo gets it. I think that's why Lizzo got so triggered when I made that comment. But here's what's interesting. Kanye talked about Lizzo in his interview. Kanye said that my friend Lizzo, that she gets bullied every time she tries to lose weight. That when she tries to lose weight, they say, no. We need you to be a big, obese cartoon character. We don't want you to be a human being. We don't want you to be healthy. Lord, God forbid we want you to live long. God forbid we want you to actually represent black women with class and dignity and intelligence. No, we like you as the clown. We like you as the clown. And see, this is what you got to understand, black people. When I tell you all that all money ain't good money, all popularity ain't good popularity. You know, in high school, if your daughter ever comes home and says that she's the most popular girl on campus, you better go do your research and find out why she got so popular. You better go find out why she, Why everybody likes your daughter so much? Why the whole football team is bringing her chocolate chip cookies at lunchtime? You need to find out why. Because it may not be because they respect her. It may be because she's behaving in a way that fits their agenda, but is degrading to herself. So ultimately, you have a lot of black folks in Hollywood that are very popular because they act like clowns. And ultimately with Kanye, um, I think that there's a lot that we have in common on this. I like the fact that he got a chance to speak. When he speaks, he's much more coherent in terms of understanding his ideas. My mother, I didn't see the whole interview. I saw about half of it. I only watched what I saw on the internet. I don't watch Fox News on TV. I can't watch it. It's not really interesting to me. But my mother did call me and she told me that Kanye mentioned Dr. Claude Anderson. So shout out to that. Let's clap for that. Thank you for mentioning Dr. Claude Anderson. He's the OG. He deserves all the respect that we can muster for him because he is our hero. He's one of the greatest thinkers of our time, and he must be acknowledged as such, even if HBCUs don't even invite him to speak, which is the craziest thing in the world. Also, he talked a lot about his daddy, which I thought was really fascinating. He talked about his daddy and his mother, his daddy and his Donda. And I was really surprised by what he said about his mom because I've never heard him say anything about his mom that was anything less than flattering. And it wasn't like he was dissing his mother, but he said something that is truthful that happens in a lot of households across this country. He said that his mother was a college professor, so she became a liberal. That means he's in tune with this very basic idea that I've told you guys about. Remember, you guys know I was on the faculty of Syracuse University 13 years. Many universities are indoctrination factories for white liberal agendas. If you are not a liberal, you're not welcome in Hollywood, and you're also not welcome in academia typically. So liberal ideas, for example, if you even dare to say you're pro-life versus pro-choice, you're going to get problems with this. If you dare to question anything with the LGBT agenda, they're going to come at you. I knew a young black woman, brilliant young black woman from Texas, who was in theater, and she went to Columbia University, which is very, very liberal. That's where Barack Obama went to school. And she wanted to do a play, and she did a play that told her story. Her story was that her father, I get a sense that her father had been sleeping with a man behind his mother's back and had contracted an STD, and a serious one, if you know, you can use your imagination, and passed it to his mother. So she comes in and she writes this script and says, "This is what I want to do." And she said that she got attacked because it's homophobic and this, that, and the other. She said, "How's it homophobic if it's my story?" Well, I'm a black woman, and I do have a concern about men sleeping with men and then coming to sleep with me. And that is her right to have that feeling. But they told her that it was homophobic. And that reminded me, I don't know if any of y'all saw this. Any of y'all see this? Give me a yes in the chat if you saw this, where with the Netflix documentary on Jeffrey Dahmer, they originally labeled it as LGBT. And then they took the label off because they said, no, we don't want you to think that somebody in this community would do something that bad, that terrible. So they took the label off. I don't know if y'all saw that. So anyway, it's with Kanye, he mentioned that his mother, Donda, was a college professor and that she was heavily indoctrinated into liberal ideas. One that he seemed to insinuate is that this idea that by taking your child away from the father, you're making the child's life a better place and all this other stuff. And Kanye said he asked his dad, he said, they took me away and they took me to the south side of Chicago. Like he said, it was like they wanted to kill me. Suddenly you're in the middle of violence and gangs and guns and death and trauma. And he said, why didn't you come get us? Why didn't you come save us? And his father told him the truth. And this is the truth. Give me a yes if you've seen any examples like this. His father said, I was told that if I came up there to get you, that I would never be able to see you again. She threatened that I would never get to see my son again. And so Kanye talked a lot about his father. And I thought that was fascinating for him to do that. And so as much as Kanye's behavior sometimes is out of pocket and out of control way too much, I like the idea that we're reminded that fathers should have a voice. Because here's the deal. The liberals, unfortunately, I used to be liberal. I'm not liberal anymore. I can't do it. They are so racist in at least one sense. When they get mad at a black man, they won't even want to hear what he has to say. And I know this. I've been through this. When I made that comment on the Lizzo thing, all these white media outlets were talking about me, like hundreds and hundreds of them were like, this sexist professor gets slammed by Lizzo for fat shaming, right? Standard liberal terminology. They like to invent words. And not one single time out of all these hundreds of publications, these so-called journalists, not one of them called to say, well, what did you mean by that? What were you really trying to say? Not one. And this right there reveals the bias that exists there, the racism that exists. How in the hell? I'm smarter than I learned. I knew more by the age of 25 than you'll ever know your whole entire life. I've been teaching college students for 3 years by the age of 25. You don't think that there was some thought behind what I said? You're really trying to just discount and dehumanize everything I said as if I'm just some misguided idiot who needs to be sent to a re-education camp? Is that what you're saying? Because that's what propaganda oriented people do. That's what they do in Russia and North Korea. If you don't go along with the company line and repeat what they want you to say, they will send you to a re-education camp because clearly you did not get the message and get the agenda. So I like the fact that Kanye is fighting against the agenda. I think that what he's doing is good in that regard. He also talked about his wife, Kim, being 40 something years old and the mother of 4 Black children and having to put her ass out on magazines. And we don't talk about how weird and how degrading that is, how crazy that is. But then again, remember, she's a Kardashian. That's what they do. They inject their booties and then they pop them out so everybody can see it. And then they make $1 billion. I have no idea how that formula works. But so that's up to Kanye. He has to kind of confront and deal with that, in my opinion. He also mentioned that he said something about abort. He had a picture of a fetus on his chest, and he talked about all the Black babies that are aborted. And I thought that was great. I said, wow, that's so good that you're talking about this. Because one thing that's really interesting to me, and I'm not trying to tell anybody what their opinion should be on a pro-choice or pro-life. That's your right. But I don't understand why there's so much pressure on people to be forced to become comfortable with the idea of killing of aborting and killing a baby. I just can't vibe with that concept. Babies' lives matter, but and I'm not saying that you should feel bad. I mean, if you've gotten the procedure, a lot of people have gotten it, but I really kind of think that it's interesting to me how in certain spaces, particularly in the spaces they go out and tell Black people to vote for nothing, like the one that was telling you no voting, no coochie, or no, don't have, if you don't vote you won't get no ass, or whatever that video Trina did, where they're basically telling you to vote for nothing. They're using the clown show to get you to vote as opposed to actually using policy and intelligent dialogue. They're assuming that you're stupid, and it's just kind of like there are these interesting ideas that liberals kind of throw out there that Black people, I think, have absorbed because the liberals were the ones who supported you getting out of slavery, or they were against Jim Crow. So you made the mistake of believing that these people were your friends. Well, really, they were never your friends. They were just better pimps. They just said, okay, well, we don't believe in slavery, but we don't like Black people either. And if you go back and you listen to what Dr. Claude Anderson has talked about, who is really the ultimate historian that everybody should be listening to, he talks about how after slavery, most white people in the North did not want slaves to be freed because they said, what are we going to do with all these people? What are we going to do with Black people? Black people, they're going to take our jobs. So ultimately, I like the fact that Fox News let him talk. I think that Kanye did mention something that I think is very obvious and it makes a lot of sense, which is that everybody has an opinion. Nobody's God. Nobody should be allowed to tell other people what their opinion is supposed to be. And I would tell you that one sign that somebody's not your friend, in my opinion, is a person who does not believe that you have a right to have a perspective. Anybody who tells you that you don't have a right to speak or that you don't have a right to think, how in the world can you think that person's your friend? The only person that has ever had the right to say, to tell me something like that might be my parents when I was a little kid. You 7, so you don't know what's going on. So be quiet, boy. This is what we're going to do, right? Because I was 7, I did not know. But if I'm a grown ass man and you're supposed to be my so-called ally, and I have an opinion that differs from yours, and you tell me I can't talk, oh, you're getting all the middle fingers at that point. Like, no, because you're not, you're revealing yourself. And what I really think people should just understand is that this is a power game. This is just a power game. Kanye, I don't agree with Kanye's decision to become a full-fledged Republican. I don't see that as really being an answer. But I understand people that go, that pick their side, right? In my view, it seems to me that we live in a country where if you choose to go liberal or go Democrat, you're doing that not because you love everything they do, but because they tend to be more sensitive on certain social justice issues, which are very important. They tend to be more considerate on issues that relate to the poor or single parents or social issues, and I completely get that. That makes perfect sense. And then if you're going in the conservative side, I can see you doing that because you're sick of the liberal agenda. You're sick of having, of being called a homophobe constantly, or being called sexist or fat shamer because you believe people should be healthy, or just being pushed constantly in a direction where they're dropping all kinds of weirdness on you, and then getting mad at you because you believe in family values, or because you believe that black families need strong fathers, and somehow somebody's offended by that. So I completely get it. And I know personally, my decision is I just can't. I'm not voting for any of these people. I just can't do it. But at the same time, I think that is where black people kind of stuck, between a rock and a hard place. And what I like about Kanye, I think the biggest thing you can learn from a Kanye West, if you want to learn anything, I don't believe in putting the celebrities on the pedestal, but I think Kanye's voice is worth being heard, is independent thought, independent and free thinking and free activity. Like, I think Kanye is a free black man in most ways, and his freedom may offend you, but it's his, and he's making that statement to make it clear that he's not controlled by hardly anybody. I just really hope that there's a maturity that comes with it, where we can get past the attention-seeking behavior, where you're trying to get attention so you can sell more sneakers for Adidas or whatever you're doing. To me, hip hop becomes a little bit of a clown show because you're competing in this really heavy space where everybody's trying to do the most outrageous thing, say the most outrageous thing, wear the most outrageous thing just to get attention, to sell records or whatever. I wish Kanye were not a musician anymore. I would like to see him do something different. Take your $3 billion, $4 billion, whatever you got, and go become a captain of industry. Go sit down with Elon Musk for a while, learn how to run a company with a board of directors and everything else. Just get away from entertaining people in order to maintain relevance and validity, because it looks a little silly, honestly, when you're past the age of 32. When you get past 32, in my view, it's time to grow up. And I don't really know if hip hop gives space for black men to grow up. That's why you end up as Kanye, because you're trying to maintain your relevance. So you're now, so you end up 40 years old doing videos with stupid people like Lil Yachty. I'm not even gonna repeat the lyrics of that song. It was so stupid and ignorant and ridiculous, and this guy's promoting drug abuse and all that. I'm not saying Kanye is, I'm saying this guy is, and you're co-signing all that because you don't want to be made irrelevant to young people. Well, no, there's a point where I think it's okay for you to become the respected, intelligent elder who's going to say some things that young people may not agree with, but you're challenging them to actually grow and evolve. We need black men to grow up. We need black men to grow up. And I'm not saying that black men don't grow up. I think there are lots of grown ass men all throughout the community. And the problem is that you don't get hurt because your voice, you're out yelled by the 35-year-olds and 40-year-olds who still want to be teenagers. And I just personally think you got to understand that this is part of the plan. The plan is to not elevate and celebrate the intelligent men in the community, or the responsible men in the community, or the mature men in the community. They elevate and celebrate the idiots. That's how you end up with Lil Wayne. I mean, just look at Lil Wayne for an example. I'm not dissing him. I'm sorry, but he's not the best representative on issues outside of simply making a record. He can make a good record. That's pretty much all he can do. He's a lyrical genius. Absolutely, give him that. But he's not a guy that they need to be asking about any political issue whatsoever, because he's not going to be able to give a good answer, because that's not his lane. People need to play in their lane. You don't see me out here trying to be a 51-year-old rapper. I'm not trying to do that. So ultimately, I just personally think, I think that's what happens. Your community's put into a box. One day, go to YouTube, and I want you to go scroll through YouTube shorts. And I want you to notice how every time you see a black man on the screen, I want you to count how many times that black man is either a rapper or an athlete. And I want you to count that, or a comedian, rapper, athlete, or comedian. Those are the three things that white people will let black men do. You could be, in terms of being famous and rich, you got to either play a sport or bust a rap and fulfill stereotype, or be a clown. If you're a clown, then you're good. You're safe. We're not scared of you. Whatever. You can beat up your own people. You can beat up your women. You can kill your own men. As long as you ain't hurting white folks, you're fine. And then I want you to look for how many black men you see that are featured on YouTube because they're actually intelligent or mature or doing something good for their families or whatever. That just doesn't really happen. It's all about the entertainment. So I personally would like to see the conversation expand beyond the entertainers and not just be one where we're looking for rappers to be black leaders, because they're not equipped for that. Just like I'm not equipped to know what it means to go in the studio and make a great song. I don't know what a dope beat sounds like. People need to stay in their lanes. White people don't look to one white man to be everything to everybody. They have one white guy over here who's president, one white guy over here who's an engineer, another white guy over here who drives the bus, another white guy over here who runs the cooking show or whatever. People get different categories. They get their humanity. You don't get your humanity in America because they see you in a typecast. And then when you go outside of that typecast, then you become invisible in this country. So we have to make ourselves visible to each other. So one small example of that might be when we're paying attention to people like Dr. Claude Anderson, smart black men who have represented the black family in a very strong and conscientious and direct way for the last 40, 50 years. Why the hell do we hear more about ignorant rappers who can't spell their mama's name than we hear from black geniuses who have real solutions that will make our lives better? Why is one voice elevated over the other? I need you to really process that and know that this does not happen by accident. They want to keep you in the dark. They want to make sure you stay stuck on stupid. That's why you will see more. You are more likely to see that Trina video where her and the guy Saucy Santana, the little, Saucy Santana, talking about no voting, no coochie or whatever. Gerrymander this coochie. If you want to get this booty, better do your civic duty. Y'all need to see the video. This is how they're getting black people to vote. They're saying literally, if you vote, then you can get sex or whatever, right? You're more likely to see that than you are to see intelligent political scientists that are black that live all around this country. And I think that's a damn shame. And I really think that you need to start noticing these things and realize that every black kid ain't meant to be a baller or a rapper or a comedian. But unfortunately, if you go into a classroom full of black boys, the majority of them are going to want to be one of those, probably usually one of the first two things, a rapper or a baller. If you go into a room full of white or Asian kids, you'll hear every single profession that there is. They'll go all the way across the board. Why is that? Well, it's because America has kind of trained you that way. They look at you that way, and you look at yourselves that way. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm kind of just tired of it. I mean, I think it's degrading, it's ridiculous, and it's stupid. So that's one of the reasons why I want to try to build black media. I'm hoping that in these spaces we can have opportunities to be independent and free and human without being stooges for the Democratic Party or being, comedians or or telling jokes constantly, or because everything ain't a damn joke, or rappers thinking everything's got it, that hip hop always has to be infused in everything that you do. No, it does not. Or always obsessed with sports. I like sports too, but sports is a game. Basketball and football, those are children's games. When you're a grown man, most grown men don't play football for a living. Most grown men take care of their families for a living. Those grown men deserve to be heard as much as the ones who are still dribbling balls and scoring touchdowns and all these other things that you do when you play sports. But maybe I'm the weirdo. Maybe I'm strange. But I personally think that this affects your community. That's why a lot of y'all black women in your 30s are meeting men who are acting like little kids, who still think they're little children because they're being influenced by a society that wants the black man to remain a child. I don't want to be no child. No, I haven't wanted to be a child since I was 22 years old. Because even at 22, that was when I started, teaching. I was teaching at the University of Kentucky when I was 22. And I was raised by a grown man, and I wanted to be a grown man. I knew that childhood was a stage. That wasn't the destination. That was part of the journey. And then I wanted to evolve into manhood. And I don't see a lot of men who get that, especially men who don't get guided into that. So this is what I see. This is what's going on with your community. So I'm glad Kanye's kind of trying to address it in his own way. I still stick to the point that he needs some therapy. He needs help mentally. I think, and I don't bring my wife in. My wife's a mental health expert. She sees some things that concern her a little bit. And I hope he's just getting the help that he needs. So anyway, that's it. That's my 2 cents, guys. I'm about to go. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Don't forget the All Black National Convention is this month. It's in 3 weeks in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you'd like to join us in Charlotte, it's really the biggest gathering in the world of B1 people all over the planet. We are learning and we are teaching, we are connecting, we are growing, we're having fun. The convention is awesome. So if you'd like to learn more about it, I put all the links actually to the passes and also to the digital pass on my website at boycewatkins.com. Of course, you can go to the All Black National Convention page, but to make it easy for you, I just put it on my website. So feel free to go take a look, and I hope you'll join us. I guarantee it'll change your life. So take care, guys. Have a good night. Love you. I'll see you soon. Take care now. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.